As I'm sure you know, the title of this podcast is the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast, but the one that I bring up more often than the big title, of course, is Dispelling the Myths of Health, Fitness, and Wellness, which is our subtitle. And today, that's exactly what we're doing. Too many times, I see articles put out in mass journalism dealing with health, fitness, and wellness. But there's one particular topic that I've talked about before, and that they come out with every single year. And it's an interesting topic. They go back and forth with it, and I swear they do it only to sell their newspapers or their magazines. That topic, of course, is my most favorite, which is water. And today, now they're telling you we may drink too much. Dispelling that myth today on the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast. Good day and welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast. My name is Garrett Williamson. I'm president of Personal Edge Fitness. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before I dive headfirst into this topic and try to keep myself calm about this particular article, before I do that, I want to tell you how to get in touch with the show if you have any questions. And actually, this is the reason I do that is it is defined today actually by this podcast, because this was sent to me by one of our clients and one of our listeners. If you're interested in getting in touch with us or have any questions about the podcast, this one or any other, or you have a question, especially something that would deal with a myth of personal training, definitely, but health, fitness, and wellness, please contact us, area code 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE. You can also contact me at Garrett, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. It's just like Levi Garrett. Even I can spell it at times. Hit me up on Twitter at TeamPE, and you can also contact us via our Facebook or our website, which is personaledgefitness.com. We're talking, I've said this before, it's amazing. It's amazing how much misinformation is out there. There's so much of it that I've dedicated a podcast to it. And I promise you this. I've never said this before, but I promise you I'll stop this podcast when all these myths stop. When all this misinformation stops coming out, I'll stop this podcast. The thing is, I think I'll be doing it for the rest of my life, because there's too much money in this misinformation. And as you can see, I've got my dander up a bit, because I've been sent an article by one of our clients. I don't want to mention her name because I'm about to beat this article up, but that's not a representation of this particular client, who is a fantastic client of ours. But I greatly appreciate her sending this to me, because she knows how much I care about this particular topic. But it's yet again another article that is obvious clickbait. I mean, it's obviously used to, this particular individual has to fill a quota of the well-being site. I'm looking at it on my computer. The well-being site for the Washington Post. In other words, he's I don't know if he's an editor of that page or he's been assigned to it, and he wants to keep his job, so he's got to have an article dealing with health, fitness, and wellness, and it better strike a nerve and get people to click on it, not so much inform. And yet that's exactly what he's got here. I promise you, no matter what he thinks he's got here, that's exactly what this is. And the title of the article. Well, before I get to that, like I said earlier, this is done in order to get people to, of course, get people to read, get people to buy the newspaper, and get them all worried about, oh my gosh, this is new information. We had no idea. We may be hurting ourselves, and it's ridiculous. And the reason I say it's ridiculous, I bet you money, within the next 12 months, this same newspaper will come out with an article that says the exact opposite. They'll come out and quote a study that says the exact opposite of what they're telling you now. And within 12 to maybe they'll wait as much as, 18 months. There'll be an article that tells you the exact opposite. And they'll keep doing that back and forth, and it drives people nuts. And I understand why. Because these are quote-unquote reputable newspapers, and they're reputable sources, and they're quoting studies and what have you. And so I have clients come in left, right, and center that ask me, well, is this true? No, wait a second. Let's go to the other way. Is that true? No, wait a second. Now it's saying the other way. And I can understand why people are confused. It's the reason that I did the podcast on the lie of food, because even the most adept students of following quote unquote healthy nutrition and have been following it for years still don't know what to eat. Or if they do right now, it's different than they did a year or two ago, and it'll be different a year or two from now, even though we've been studying it quote unquote for 70 years. And that's all because, wow, there's a lot of money. And think about the things they sell when they do this. There's a lot of money in misinformation. This particular article deals with a hotbed issue with me. You know it is one because it deals with water. And it starts off like they all do. That starts off with that title that grabs you. That, boy, oh wow, this is something that I didn't know, or this is something that I've always believed. And wow, they're telling me right here in the title of the article it's not true. And the title of the article is why you don't need to drink 8 cups of water a day. And you know I hate that. And by the way, if you think that's true, you're wrong. I'll tell you right now, you're wrong. I'm doing that. I don't mean to be so angry when I say that, but if you do believe that, I want to make you upset enough to contact me. I want to make you upset enough because I love to speak to you because I'm trying to save your life. And the reason I say I'm trying to save your life, keep in mind, I don't sell water. I don't. I mean, I do podcasts that I broadcast out for free. And one of them, a lot of them, one was dedicated to water. There's more than one that's been dedicated to water, but all of them talk about water, and it's something I don't even sell. If you will drink more water, it's somewhere down the line that puts more money in Garrett's pocket. No, it doesn't. Not at all. Not in any way, shape, or form. So believe me, I'm trying to save your life. And so when this. Anahad, if I'm saying that right, and pardon me, my friend, if I'm mispronouncing your name, O'Connor did this article in the Washington Post that came out on December 6th, why you don't need to drink 8 cups of water. Now, let's see if I can go through some of this. They talk about, they begin off with, you've heard the age-old advice, drink 8 cups of water. By the way, they actually say this in the article, which I appreciate, because the 8 cups of water has been dispelled years ago. And it's not dispelled because it's too much. It's dispelled because it's not enough. When did this come out? I love it. I love the fact they mentioned this in the article. I don't think I've ever even mentioned that on one of my podcasts. That was information that came out in 1945, and it wasn't even based on a study. But it's just banged into our brains now. It's repeated so much. I think this was very responsible that they did an article that they've pointed out that so many companies that sell water have monopolized on that 8 8-ounce glasses, and because 8 8-ounce glasses of water is 64 ounces of water, and some companies have and you've seen it in the stores, they'll sell 64-ounce bottles. Why 64? Well, because they know a lot of people believe that they need to drink 8 8-ounce glasses of water, and I appreciate them pointing. I think that was very responsible. They did point that out in the article, but they quote a study in here. And it's new research published in the Journal of Science, which found that for most healthy adults, drinking 8 cups of water a day is completely unnecessary. That's pretty strong. Completely unnecessary. Now, so many people will read to that point, and they're looking for justification not to drink water, not to make changes in their life. And so when they read something like that, great, fantastic, I'm okay. I'm great. I have nothing to worry about. That was all a bunch of bunk. I know it was a bunch of bunk. And they'll stop there. And if they don't stop reading there, a lot of times they'll stop thinking there because they got the justification they needed just to keep from having to make any kind of changes in their life. That's dangerous. Because what they basically come out what they basically report the researchers have found is that water needs are different from person to person. They did this massive study, and they did it around the world. They say that they went everything from from hunters and gatherers that live in very impoverished nations, some in Africa and some, and then all the way to people that have sedentary jobs in office workers in the U.S. And they used all these studies, and they were talking about the hydration habits of these individuals. And they concluded that basically everybody gets enough, quote unquote, hydration. Well, they don't state in the study what's enough hydration. I mean, nobody died of hydration sitting at their desk, or they when they were hunters and gatherers, they drank more because they were in hotter climates, and therefore they got enough hydration. They weren't collapsing because of hydration. I think that's incredibly irresponsible, because what we're really looking for, especially from a section of the newspaper that's supposed to be dealing with well-being, health, fitness, I don't think the bare minimum is what we're looking for. I don't think anybody turns to this section looking for what's the bare minimum I need to do just so I don't end up tomorrow on the other side of the dirt. Because that's basically what they're talking about in this article, that these individuals were drinking enough or had enough hydration to keep from ending up on the other side of the dirt. And I know that for a fact, and the reason I say that is because they start talking about time passing on a calendar affecting metabolism, and you've heard me talk about that. That is absurd. Your metabolism is nothing more than calories in, calories out. It is not affected by time passing on a calendar. So they start using that in their discussion here. And the second thing they don't talk about whatsoever, which is what I preach, which is why I preach water so much, and why I say you should be drinking more water, and why I say that the majority of the world, besides there's several studies that prove this, the majority of the world does not take in enough water, is how much it deals with combating obesity. And obesity is the number one killer. We've talked about that before. The number one killer is rated as heart disease, cardiovascular disease. Number two being cancer. And by the way, I always say this, cancer is rapidly approaching cardiovascular disease. But 4 of the top 10 killers, the number one risk factor, which is something you actually can catch. You don't catch heart disease. You cause heart disease. We do kind of quote unquote catch cancer, but we find we're still looking for there is a cause of cancer. You don't catch lung disease, you develop lung disease, you develop kidney disease, you develop dementia. 4 of the top 10 killers, the number one risk factor, which is a cause, is obesity. So as far as I'm concerned, the number one killer in the world is obesity. You take that one risk factor away, cardiovascular disease, I bet you money, would not even rank in the top 10 killers. And so why am I talking about this when it comes to water? Well, why do we overeat? You've heard me talk about this before. There's only one reason why we overeat. Anybody tell you there's another reason besides this? They are lying to you. There's only one reason why, as a society, we overeat, I should say, because there are people that are in eating competitions, and that's why they overeat, of course. But why does any person on a normal basis overeat? Well, it's one reason. That's called cravings. Period. You take cravings out, I'm possibly out of a job. 72% of our clients come to us for weight loss, weight control, general fitness. Usually that deals with dealing with obesity or combating obesity or effects of obesity, diabetes, and what have you. So the number one cause for that is craving. You take that out of there, then like I say, I'm possibly out of a job. There's only 2 reasons why we crave. This is getting to the water. There are 2 reasons and 2 reasons only why we crave. That's it. There's no other reason, I promise you. 60% of the reason why we crave is stress. That is why you crave. By the way, if you handle your stress with alcohol, in other words, you have a problem with alcohol, well, that's satisfying your craving. That's exactly what you're doing. You're dealing with your craving, which is you're dealing with craving. The craving that you're having is affected by stress, and there you're dealing with it with alcohol, or you're dealing with it with drugs. In this case, we deal with it with food. In fact, the most of the craving problems that we have are food. And what are you craving? You're craving those 4 things that affect your brain: salt, sugar, alcohol, or caffeine. Those are the only 4 things that we crave. We crave chemicals, not food. Therefore, that causes us to overeat. But what's that other part? Where's water in this, Garrett? You're talking about obesity. You're talking about that being number one killer. You're talking about this article being irresponsible because it doesn't talk about obesity. 40% of the reason why we overeat, 40% of the reason why we crave, lack of water, period. And no matter what, this individual that conducted this study, I'm sorry, I need to track down his name, I'll tell you. No matter what he says in this, and his last name is Ponzer, what Mr. or Dr. Ponzer says, by the fact that our hydration needs are satisfied by caffeinated drinks or food that we eat, and I agree with him as far as just general hydration. As far as combating obesity, they're not, period. They're not solved by that. And here's why. Yes, you'll get the water that you need, but you also will take in those extra calories that you're not needing. I've talked about this several times. I keep saying that. My apologies. About how why does water cut cravings? Why does 40% of our cravings controlled by lack of water? Simple. You can only go 3 days without water. No matter what Dr. Ponzer says or any of these other people say, you can only go 3 days without water. I mean, you will have organs shut down. You will die. Your body knows this. It's an intelligent machine. And so it makes you get water. And the way it makes you get water is it starts stoking. When you get low on water, it starts stoking those cravings in the brain. And you may satisfy your hydration with coffee or with, as he said, brown rice or wet foods. That's true, and I've said that in the past. But you're not needing to take in extra calories at that time when you're having that craving. That's not what your body's looking for. Your body's looking for water. Water only. That's it, just water. But instead of taking in water, you're taking in water along with some calories. Most likely more calories than you need. Not everybody. But I mean, when we're looking at a high obesity rate, it's going to be a lot of people. And so you're going to take in those extra calories while you're taking in that hydration. And like they say, you've got enough hydration, but you're still causing those problems that are associated with obesity, or causing obesity for that matter. And like I say, you're causing those problems that are associated with obesity. What are associated with obesity? Well, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, insulin independence, insulin problems, which of course is diabetes. You're also causing problems in your brain. 30% of the water that you drink is used by your brain. We know that. We've known that for years. So you're having trouble thinking. You're having trouble processing thoughts. It's affecting your skin. It's making you look, quote unquote, older. It's drying you out. As I've said before, it's the reason why every body product listed for an individual who is, let's say, 30s at least, or if not 40s and up, has hydration in it. Why? Because when you turn a certain number on the calendar, you just start needing hydration. No, it's because we've dehydrated ourselves all our lives, no matter how much coffee we've had. This kind of articles that come out like this give justification to people that tell me on a regular basis that when I ask them how much amount, that's what I'm looking for. How much water do you drink? And their answer, and I believe them. I'm not bashing anybody. Their answer many times is, well, all I drink is water. It doesn't mean we drink enough. And when you see articles like this, okay, well, I'm evidently taking enough hydration. But remember why most people come to see us. 72% come to see us for weight loss. If your energy level is down and your water level, the amount of water you're taking in is down, is below that 88 ounces, and as I say, below 100 ounces, your energy level's down, then your body is going to have to work harder. We know this. No matter what this individual says about hydration, adequate baseline, you're going to keep yourself on this side of the dirt, hydration. Still, if you're not taking in the right amount, which is, and it's recommended by the American Medical Association, American Dietary Association, Harvard Medical, Stanford Medical, Cooper Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, all of these, National Institute of Health, all of these institutions recommend 100 ounces a day, every day for somebody. And if you're not doing that, you're causing your organs to work harder. Why? Because your blood is thicker. That's going to cause wear and tear. The wear and tear that we associated with time passing on a calendar. Remember, that time passing on a calendar, if that just automatically happens and we're not causing it through these things, then somebody ought to be able to tell me exactly when a certain body part, certain organs are going to fail. If time is what causes it, then somebody should know the exact time that's going to happen to everybody. And if anybody tells you, well, they don't know the exact time because it's different for everybody, and you ask, why is it different for everybody? And their answer is, well, because everybody lives a different lifestyle, and they have, yes, right, fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and mindset. Those 4 things are completely controllable. And that's what ends up causing deterioration, and lack of water is a huge one. I did mention the where I got this article, and well, first thing, thank you very much. And I'm not going to mention her name, but she knows who she is. Thank you very much for sending me this article. I appreciate it. And I'm sure that I will see this same article repeated in other publications. But I'm telling you, folks, I know what they're saying in this. In the water argument also, there's the reason I talk about it so much is because of combating obesity. And there's two arguments on water. One of them deals with combating obesity. The other one deals on just general hydration. And they're speaking about general hydration. And as I've said many times, you're just looking for the bare minimum. Sure, everything with liquid in it, that you can drink or eat, and that's not illegal, immoral, or fattening, or even some that are fattening. Yes, that's going to give you proper quote unquote hydration. As far as dealing with the benefits of drinking water that I've said before, like combating obesity, like brain fog, like energy level, like looking younger, like constipation. I mean, and all those. I think I listed 18 things in my water podcast, and go back and listen to that one. It's one of my earlier podcasts. It's called the Magic Pill or the Secret to Fat Loss. All of those deal strictly with just drinking water, and this article does not address that whatsoever. So sorry, I'm very sorry. I mean, by the way, I'm a huge fan of Dennis Miller and his comedy, and one of the things he said, he did a whole book on this, and also did a whole. I even think he did a special on this too, but it's also an audiobook. And he always said, "I don't want to go on a rant here." Well, obviously, that's what you just heard. This podcast has been one big rant against yet another article telling us, well, we don't really need to drink that much water. Trust me, folks. I'm going to say what I've said in the past, and I'm going to say it's the same thing that's repeated in this article, by the way. What we don't have is an epidemic of people drinking too much water. And they even say it in this article, no, if you drink too much, then you're just going to excrete it. Fine. I can deal with that. It's the same thing I talk about with protein intake. Without going completely overboard, some people worry about, well, I only need about 8 to 12 grams, but I might take in 20. Okay, if you do, that's fine. Your body will get rid of it. So I'd rather do that. As far as water is concerned, I'd rather do that and cover all the bases and have the feelings that my clients do feel. I guarantee you'll feel it yourself. If you're not drinking the right amount of water, you're not drinking that 100 ounces. If you use our method to slowly get yourself there to 100 ounces, I guarantee you will feel different. You will feel an energy level change. You will think clearer. You will speak clearer. I have 2 clients that spoke to me about they increased their water amount because they noticed their constipation go away. You will feel these changes. But I guarantee you, if you end up going a little bit overboard, it's okay. It's okay. Your body's going to excrete it. You can get rid of it. Not a problem whatsoever. If you have any more questions about this particular topic or any others, please contact me at area code 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE. You can also contact me at Garrett, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com, which, of course, is my email address. Hit me up on Twitter at Team PE. You can also contact me via our website and our Facebook page, which is Personal Edge Fitness. The webpage, of course, is personaledgefitness.com. Be careful of what you read. Remember, in most cases, in all cases for that matter, these media outlets they're trying to sell advertising. They're trying to sell papers. They're trying to sell, hey, click this link on our website. It's not so much that they're trying to give you the real truth, because That's what this podcast is dedicated to. And it's just one more way we help you reach your level of wellness. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time.